Miss Sylvia Baskin with another episode of the Bowman's Friends podcast, and today we have a special guest. We have Dean Greer with the College of Communication and Information.
Hey, I'm so glad to be here.
I'm so excited you're here, to meet the dean of my college, So excited. So I do have a few questions, and I just want what do you enjoy most about being a dean of this college, College of Communication and Information?
Yeah. Well, I will tell you, it is kind of my dream job. I get to do a little bit something different every day, but the big thing that I enjoy is interacting with the community, and that starts with prospective students. We're about to have some prospective students come through here in just a few minutes, but prospective students, current students, alumni, industry, faculty, staff, donors, all of the great people at the university. It's kind of like being a dean. You kind of, in some ways, are the face of the college, and so with that comes a lot of really amazing meetings with great people, and I just love to hear people's stories. So that's probably my favorite thing, is interacting with the community.
That sounds really nice. Yeah, so where were you a student at? Did you go to UK?
No. I did my undergraduate at University of Missouri, and I did a master's at the University of Kansas, and then my doctorate at the University of Florida. So two of the three are SEC schools. Missouri was not in the SEC, obviously, at the time I went there, but now, so I've got some big, strong SEC ties, and then I also worked at the University of Alabama for 12 years before I came here, so very familiar with the SEC.
Oh, so what made you go to UK? Come to UK?
Well, they recruited me to be the dean, and I had actually been up here in, I think, October, right before they contacted me and said, we have a dean opening, and I'd come up with an SEC trip that I was on, and I just thought Lexington was a cool city. The campus was great. I got to meet with Eli Capilouto at the time, and I thought that his vision for the university being the university of, with, and for Kentucky, I thought was just a wonderful mission for this university, to be very much the leader and the servant of the Commonwealth. And so I was struck by how awesome the University of Kentucky was. And I wasn't really even on the job market, but the search firm reached out to me, and I thought, I really liked Lexington. I really liked the president. I really liked the campus. I should check this out. And I'm really glad that I did. That was 6 years ago, so almost 7 years ago now.
Oh, that's so nice. So since you've been in different colleges, so as a student, what's the advice you might have from some prospective students and current ones?
Yeah, so I would say the biggest thing I learned as a student was to ask a lot of questions, and that it's not stupid to ask questions. Sometimes you'll hear people say there's no dumb questions. I will tell you, there are some dumb questions. I've been asked some dumb questions, but but it's being curious and asking questions and finding the things that you need to know. You're only going to grow from that. And I think sometimes we are afraid to ask questions because we're afraid it's going to make us look stupid. But do your homework and ask your questions in a way that it shows that you're curious and you want to learn and you're growing, and most people will just be so amazing to help you. I will tell you my favorite dumb question that I got as a teacher was people who missed class. My students, when they missed class, they'd come the next class period and go, oh, I missed class. Did I miss anything? And I wanted to go, no, since you weren't here, we all just stood in silence and waited. Obviously, you missed something. It should be, I'm so sorry I missed class. How can I make up the material that I missed? Or do you have any suggestions on helping me make it up? So, yeah, the fact that we wouldn't have done anything the whole time that they had missed the class was kind of one of those things that it's, the question itself, just the way that it was asked, is not what the student intended. So use precision when you ask your questions, and ask in a way of genuine curiosity and growth, and you'll be great.
Yeah, I've had a lot of talks with teachers. So what is a typical day they look for your day in life? What does your schedule normally look like?
Yeah, the thing that I like most about being a dean is there is not a normal schedule. Okay. So we have a couple of meetings every week that are pretty solid in terms of you will have this meeting, it will be at this time every week. But other than that, it's like you don't know what the day is going to bring, and it'll be very different. So it'll be, I'll have an alumni come back to campus, and we've got an amazing new facility in Pence Hall, and this amazing downtown studio where we're recording this. So, like having alumni and donors and supporters want to see the facility. Sometimes it's me taking them on a tour. Sometimes it's me meeting with prospective students. Sometimes there might be, a really sticky situation in one of our departments and the department chair needs some help with it. Or, we've got something going on at the university and the provost's office asks the deans to come together and work on things. So it can be, truly every day is different, which is why I love it.
Oh, that's awesome. But talking about our new buildings and this new studio, how do you feel about the hands-on learning that might be going around for some classes down here in the downtown studio?
Well, and I think that's one of our strengths as a college, that I truly think a degree from the College of Communication and Information is it's almost like a really good broad liberal arts degree with some training, hands-on training linked to a profession. And so that can be library science in our School of Information Science. It can be advertising and PR in our Department of Integrated Strategic Communication. It could be filmmaking, broadcast journalist, or photography, or many other professions in our School of Journalism and Media. Or it can be all sorts of, really the sky's the limit in our Department of Communication. And there's a lot of hands-on opportunities. A lot of folks do internships, but more importantly, even outside of the internships, that we've got facilities in Pence Hall, also McVeigh, Little, and then here at the downtown studio out near Rupp Arena. We've got facilities, we've got professionals that are teaching our students that are working every day in the business. And so you can really get hands-on opportunities. It's almost you have to work to avoid the hands-on opportunities in the college. So if you go through with the degree and, haven't had one of these opportunities, you're probably going to do okay, but you kind of missed out on some of the wonderful things that we have to offer.
Yeah, I really enjoyed, I used to be a computer science major.
Okay.
With College of Engineering.
Yeah.
And do you know Skylar?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Dr. Simpson. Yeah. She's
Dr.
amazing.
Simpson.
Yeah, but everybody calls her Skylar.
So I was a UK 101 peer instructor at the time, and she helped me switch over to ICT in the College of Communication Information, and I really enjoy it over here. It's a nice college. Oh,
yeah. And that you've got a required internship in that. And I mean, so 4 of our 5 undergraduate majors do have a required internship. Communication is the one that doesn't have it. And I kind of like that it doesn't, because not everybody can do an internship for credit, just depending on their work schedule and trying to get done in, 4 years. So that one gives a little bit more flexibility than some of our other majors. But you will have hands-on opportunity to have something on your resume that when you go out with your degree from communication information, you've got something to show employers, which is really exciting and one of the things that we're really passionate about in this college.
Yeah. I do think the classes are, in my current class, we're trying to, at the end of the class, we're going to have a portfolio for so which I think is awesome.
What class is that, if I can ask?
ICT 315 and 302 with Greenhall. And
oh, okay, yes. He is amazing.
He is so sweet. I love talking to him in class.
Yeah, he's a very good teacher.
He is great. So since we talked about your typical day is very different, it's not really typical. So how would you say is the most rewarding part of your job outside of talking to prospective students,
Yeah, I think the most rewarding part of my job is to be able to be a storyteller, which, I was, honestly, I'm just going to say I'm a Swiftie. I was listening to the new Taylor Swift album on the way over here. Taylor is one heck of a storyteller, but one of the things, I thought, I would be a songwriter or something, when I was really little, but I ended up being attracted to journalism, and journalism is telling stories, right? It's telling factual stories that you have to go and find information and verify the information and make sure that it's not biased and credible. But, what I do as a dean is continuing the work that I did as a journalist when I worked professionally, is gathering information from a whole bunch of different sources and then packaging that information into digestible fashions to be able to share it with people. One of my jokes about journalists is that we're just professional gossips, right? We get information and we share the information, but that's the job of a journalist, and it's in some ways it's the job of a dean, very much a job of a dean, is finding out about what courses our students love. Like you just mentioned your ICT 315 and 315, the stories of why our students love our classes, why they love our faculty, the stories of our alumni and what they did during their time here at the University of Kentucky that have made them so successful in their careers, telling the stories of the mission of our president, Eli Capilouto, and how that resonates with me personally, but how I see that lived out in the experience of our faculty, our staff, and our students, and our alumni. So I would say probably the most rewarding part of it is telling the story in many different forms, whether that's on a podcast like this one, or on the newsletters that I send out to our alumni or to our faculty and staff, meeting with groups of students, meeting with donors who want to support our college, and being able to show the impact of their gifts through the stories of our students and our alumni and our faculty and staff.
So what do you think would be the most challenging part of your job?
I would say the most challenging part of the job is probably dealing with conflict. I find that a lot of times there's decisions that land on a dean's desk or problems that land on a dean's desk that where people are truly hurting in whatever the situation. There's often parties that are at conflict with each other because they both are feeling a loss or feeling disempowered in some way. And how do we make sure that we support everybody on both sides of that issue to keep the mission front of mind? What do we have in common? What are we all working for? And then how can we work together towards that common goal, right? And so I think those are one of the ones that, that sometimes get me down a little bit, but I always consider it, a win if I can have all the folks at a conflict feel like they've been heard and that we reach a resolution that maybe not everybody agrees with, but they understand why we've come to that decision.
Yeah, so talking about those decisions, so again, what would be a core principle or belief that just helps guide your decisions as a dean?
I would say probably the thing that grounds me the most is that every individual is an individual that has a point of view that needs to be heard and listened to and respected, and that we all are people who are deserving of love and compassion and understanding, and so I think one of the things that I always try to see, and we're in some pretty heated political times in this country, is try to understand where people are coming from and, to have compassion for our fellow humans. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes, we've gotten down into an environment where, quite frankly, that the comments can just be really hurtful, but they're so anonymous and they're, kind of behind. I find that if we sit down and talk face to face with people, that we have so many things in common, probably much more in common than divide us, but sometimes in heated situations that those divisions can be the only thing that we focus on.
So this job probably can be pretty stressful. So what do you do to de-stress or when you go home to relax? Okay,
so you already heard, I listen to Taylor Swift and a lot of good pop music. I actually, I thought as I got older that I would, just stick with my stuff from the 80s and 90s that I grew up with, right? But actually, I love the new stuff that's coming out. So I'm a big music fan. I tend to watch fairly mindless TV, sometimes silly reality programs and things like that because they're so escapist, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, there's this one that I really got hooked on was called The Traitors that had Alan Cumming. Yeah, I think it's on Hulu or something like that, but it was so much fun. It's just like all these reality stars or shows I don't even watch, like The Real Housewives and Big Brother, but they like go in and some of them are traitors and some of them are, the faithful.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's hilarious. And it was like, I got so invested in these people I didn't even know. But it's just, kind of escapist television where, again, I think a lot of that is the motivations of people. And sometimes people are forced to be traitors who don't want to be traitors, and then you have to be empathetic to them. I don't know. So I also love walking. So I live real near campus and I love to walk. So if anybody ever sees me near campus with my crazy dog, I apologize. Yes, I have a crazy dog.
What kind of dog do you have?
Oh, she's just a mutt. We rescued her from the Metro Animal Shelter down in Tuscaloosa when we lived in Alabama. And she's just very reactive to other dogs. And so anytime I'm walking with my dog and I see another dog coming, we just have to run the other way. And we even got a trainer and everything for her. And she's just, again, it's my deep core belief that everybody is worthy of love and everybody is worthy of our respect. So my dog's a little bit broken, but we love her. And, so anyhow, so I walk a lot with my dog and walk a lot around campus.
Oh, that's so amazing.
Yeah.
So, what do you think the personality of our college is? The college, how would you think of as a common air?
Yeah, I think we're, I think often I see us as the fun college because I think we do have a lot of fun in our college, but I think we're serious about what we do. I would say probably, and this is in our college motto, so I know it's a little cheesy that I say it, and our college brand promise is we shape passions into professions, right? So I would say passionate is probably the one word I would use to describe our college, our faculty, staff, alumni, all of our students tend to be drawn to the professions that we go into because they think that they can have an impact, and they absolutely can have an impact. And we see our alumni make impacts every day, and our students make impacts every day. And so I think we've got a pretty passionate college that they really are very invested in whatever they are that they're passionate about, whether that's ICT, our integrated strategic communication, journalism, media arts and studies, our communication. Everybody gets really passionate about it. We've got folks that are doing health communication, sports communication, broadcasting, sales, customer support, that whatever people are interested in, our students tend to be very passionate about it, and our faculty and staff are as well. And so I guess we're a passionate college. And I think our college is, the people that are attracted to our college really feel like the world can be a better place, and I think that's why they come join us.
Okay, so talking about the passion, do you think it's also the way that's helping prepare students for jobs that might not even exist yet? Because since they're so passionate on that one thing, they can change the world. Right.
And because I think when you're passionate about something, you're motivated to learn and to be curious and to find out and to be better at it. And I do think, that our alumni, our students, whether, quite frankly, it's at the University of Kentucky or other programs like ours, absolutely, they feel like they can be the change that makes the difference in the world. And so, I do think that passion does play out in making people lifelong learners, right? Because you care so much about what you do, you want to be better at it and you want to learn more every day. You want to be curious and ask those questions and figure out new ways of doing things. So I do think that the way that we approach teaching our students teaches them to be critical thinkers, so I do think that passion translates into lifelong learning, which translates into being prepared for things that we have no idea. It's part of the fun thing about being in communication, information, media right now is that everything is changing so rapidly in our disciplines, and that the types of jobs that I was trained for, a lot of them don't exist anymore. When I was an undergraduate at the University of Missouri, or they're greatly diminished. I was trained to be a newspaper reporter, and that meant a print newspaper reporter that on a newspaper that came out in the afternoon, and those went away like in the 90s. Afternoon newspapers went away, and then now we're seeing the decline and almost near extinction of print daily papers. There's very few papers that are printing every day, even in the big cities these days. And so, but how do you take being trained as a newspaper reporter and translate that to TikTok, right? Like, so it's still storytelling, still need to be factual, you need to be fair, you need to be accurate in what you do, but it's just a different medium, and it's, you're telling it through visuals and audio in a very quick soundbite, but you can still do really good journalism in those alternative formats. Okay,
and coming to a close, I got like 3 more questions to ask
Okay,
you.
sure.
So the first one, I just wanted to ask, like, what do you hope that graduates get after graduating from our college?
Well, I hope that whatever they were passionate about or found passion for along the way, they stay curious, they stay current, and they stay open to learning. So I do think that that one of the things that we prepare our students very well for in this college is asking those questions. And that's when that's my number one advice: ask questions. Do your research, do your homework, ask questions, and never stop learning.
Oh. And then for the second one, for like the current students right there who might just be like struggling or something, do you have any more advice for them?
I think there is a place for you. You just need to find that place, and it's okay to cut ties and find something else. So we hope that is in our college here, but it might not be. There might be another major out there for you that fits you better. There might be something that, that you thought you were really going to go work for the Kentucky Colonel, but then you find Bowman and Friends as a podcast, right? And this one was a better fit for you, or you find Dance Blue or something else for student orgs. So whether that's your major, or maybe you started with Greek life and that wasn't a good fit, or vice versa, right? That, keep looking until you find your place, because if you're not feeling passionate about what you do, it's really hard to get up and do it every day, right? So keep looking for that passion. And if you don't know if you found it yet, you probably haven't found it.
And final question, what do you have to say for our prospective students that are coming in,
For our prospective students that come in, I think the big thing, and again, I think we're having a group of prospective students come here to the downtown studio in just a few minutes. What I usually tell when I'm say to the prospective students and to their moms and dads, their families, is let your student go where they feel like they fit. So, there's a lot of folks that there are 3 generations of a certain institution, right? Like, oh, well, I'm legacy, and my grandpa went here, and my dad, and now I'm going here, and I feel like I have to be here. But then you go to another college campus, and you just like, oh my gosh, I'm so much in love. This is where I feel like I fit. That is the place where you need to belong. And so when you're first choosing your college, go to the place that feels like home when you walk on that campus. And then once you've got there, go find your people, your major, your thing, where you feel like you fit. And I don't know if you've had this experience, but I've had this experience like when I walked in, when I was trying to decide on jobs, when I first finished with my doctorate, that where do I need to go? I had a lot of job interviews, and I went to a lot of different places, and I went to the University of Nevada, and I thought, this is it. This is where I need to be. Then when I moved to the University of Alabama, I had looked at a couple of other different job opportunities, and I was like, this is my job. And the same thing here at the University of Kentucky. Wasn't really on the job market, but they called me, and I was like, hey, Lexington and UK were very cool when I was there. Maybe I should look into this, even though I don't think that's where I'm going right now. So I guess my piece of advice, ask questions and keep looking until you find the answer.
Well, thank you so much for coming on this podcast. It was really exciting to talk to you. But yeah.